So we have with us Daniel Wagner, Daniel who created DWSIM. He's our friend. We have been promoting DWSIM in a big way, and DWSIM is an amazing product. It's getting better every day. Every day, new versions come. And we invited Daniel. He's addressing us from Brazil. We are just in Brazil in terms of COVID cases. We are very close. So, so Daniel, the day's program got over. I mean, this is the last part. You can ask the participants to give their feedback as well. After you, say a few words, you talk to them, and then I'm sure they have lots of questions. So all yours, Daniel. Tell them about
Thank you very much.
how you came up with this idea, whatever you want to say about DWSIM, you can go ahead.
No, I'd just like to thank you for this opportunity to participate in this event. Well, DWSIM is like a hobby for me, so I love to work on it. I work on it every day, and it's just something that I love to do. That is, in a few words, that's it. So I would like to show to you some of the recent improvements that I've been working on DWSIM. I have a small presentation here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
See if
on your screen.
Let me see. Before that, I'd like to ask, how was the event so far? What have you done with DWSIM? Did you do everything that was planned?
Yeah, everything got done. In fact, I would want the participants, because the work that they did before this workshop is equivalent to about 1 week of work. Because somebody has to learn DWSIM, they have to learn all the things and then solve the problem, match the results, get back to us. So all these people are fairly comfortable with the DWSIM. They may not know all the does anybody want to give any feedback to Daniel about how you like DWSIM, that it being open source?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Anybody wants to say anything? Sam, would you want to go?
Hi, Daniel. Thank you. I think we sort of know each other because we've been exchanging certain emails for the last few years now. Good. So, I mean, we are very thankful that you make this available for us. I think as far as the features are concerned, it's a great help for us to have the dynamic simulation tool available since 6th version. And I see that you release an update every fortnight, it seems. So that's very helpful. Just to, I think you have been accepting feature requests, and of course there is this Patreon by which we can specifically support or specifically request for more features. But I think thank you very much for being very receptive and very open for suggestions from our side.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to say? Somebody who didn't know Daniel before? Somebody who just came across DWSIM, started using it, and whatever. Anybody? So our people are very shy. So you can go ahead. They will think about what to ask when they will come to you.
I hope they like DWSIM.
Did anybody like DWSIM?
Sure, most of us did.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Oh, that's great. Thank God.
Hello. This is Wais Midda. Yes, it is very helpful. As Sam said, thank you for an open source. So from my side, so I am an assistant professor in an institute where we have planned a workshop on 5th of September to 29th of September. So it will be a 5-day workshop where earlier it was, so we planned to give only based on Aspen. Then I came to know about this DWSIM, which is a very light software. So it was very easy to install also. It is, I think, 350 or 400 MB space with easy installation in a laptop. You don't need any high configuration laptop or a desktop. So what we planned in that workshop is the hands-on session will be conducted with DWSIM, which will be comparing with the Aspen Plus. So just to the students that how easy it is, and it will be very helpful to the students for academic purposes. That's it from my side. Yep.
That's great. Thank you.
There are many messages in the chat window. If you just monitor, many people
That's
are.
Great.
Yeah.
I have seen that DWSIM is helping a lot of people during this pandemic situation, and I'm really glad to read this kind of messages. That's the whole objective of the thing. Should we go to the presentation?
Yes.
So I just like to let you know about the recent developments that we have been done in the DWSIM. The first one is the pipe network unit operation. Has anyone heard about it already?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I think you put a video with voiceover in the YouTube channel, right?
Yes. I'm trying a neural network voice recording that. It's kind of scary, but it works. So this pipe network unit operation I did it for the Patreon supporters, but I've released a free version which supports up to, I think, 20 blocks in the network. I don't know exactly, but you can download it for free, and you can simulate a network of pipings and compressors and pumps. So for me, it's super important because I've always worked with PipeSim. I don't know if you know it, but it's a software to simulate the flow of petroleum and natural gas through pipelines. So it's one of the things that I thought that I would never be able to do, but thank God I was able to code the solver to solve the mass and energy balance in the network, so it came up really good. I've reused some of the code in the DWSIM for the flow sheet for the network designer, so it was easier than I thought it would be to do this component, but it is available for you to download and try, so you can try new things with the DWSIM, and it works on Mac and Linux and Windows, okay? So it's just something that I would like to see some projects with this component, because it's really important in real life we have this kind of pipe networks in real life, at least here in Brazil. I don't know in India how it is, but here in Brazil it's very common to have this kind of models in our daily work. Okay, but in the end I will show you how to download it, how to find this component. And the second one is the neural network unit operation. Maybe you have heard about it already. On the ones who follow me on LinkedIn, I'm always writing about my developments, and this was one of the ones that made me very happy, because it was really hard to make it, because it uses TensorFlow in the background to do the network training and to do the actual evaluation of the model. Okay, so this unit operation is for those cases where you don't know the model for your operation. You only have lab data or field data. You have the input data and the output data, and you need to do some kind of regression to get the results. And the greatest advantage of this unit operation is that you can, by using a neural network, you can have multiple outputs, not only a single one, like if you were to do on Excel or another spreadsheet software. A neural network can give you multiple outputs. It's called multiple input, multiple output regression, something like that. This kind of neural network. I'm not sure, but that's the whole point of this unit operation, okay? But it also works on Mac, Linux, and Windows, so you can use it on whatever you want, you need to. And the latest and greatest and coolest one is the Aqueous Electrolytes, because we had 2 models in the DWSIM that didn't work at all. I was never able to get the solver for the chemical equilibrium of the ions and the acids and bases in the liquid phase, the aqueous phase, to work correctly. It is very hard to do it, because it's something like a Gibbs reactor on the aqueous phase, you know. So it is not a simple calculation. And I found this library in Python, which is called Reaktoro, I think, and it is from a Brazilian guy who works on Swiss, and he released it for free, this component too. And I talked to them, and while asking him how to make it work, in the weekend I was able to make it work faster than I thought too. So now you have the option of this great property package to calculate, to simulate your electrolyte processes, and it works really well. I've tried a few simulations with hydrogen chloride, with sulfuric acid, and with seawater. You can. I'm thinking about doing some sample simulations. I'll try to simulate the process of producing our salt that we use in our kitchen. We have here in Brazil, in my state, Rio Grande do Norte, we have the biggest production of salt from seawater. So I'd like to simulate this process by vaporizing the water until you get the precipitate, which is our salt. So you can do this kind of simulation now in the DWSIM. You can calculate the pH of the aqueous phase, and it works really well. Currently, it only works on Windows, but I'm trying to make it work on Mac and Linux. But I'll have to find a way to get the Reaktoro component isolated on these systems. I don't know if it will work or not, but on Windows it is already working. And when you download this component, you will be able to download the whole package for Reaktoro, which is a Python, a full Python environment containing this Python module for Reaktoro. But it works. You don't have to worry about setting the environment variables for Python. Just unpack the zip file and you're good to go. Okay, and as Sam already talked about, we have the dynamic simulation module working in the DWSIM. I don't have much experience with dynamic simulation, so it's hard to me to get something working. But the components required to make a dynamic simulation are already there. Some unit operations still don't have a dynamic model. Maybe you could help me with that, which is the pipe segment. To make a dynamic model for the pipe segment is really hard, and the distillation and absorption columns too is very hard you have to model each plate, each stage of this column, so it's not simple. Maybe you can help me with that. Maybe it's a project idea, Professor Cannon, to write these dynamic models. There are other modules that still don't have a dynamic model. I'm not sure which ones, but I think the main ones that it would be nice to have would be the pipe segment and the rigorous columns. Yeah, but it's there. You can use it, and it's possible that you find some bugs because it's really new. So But I'm always awake to fix these bugs and release an update every day, as Sam already talked about. So as you know, the official website is this one, dwsim.inforsite.com.br. I'm just going to show you.
And you see the FOSSI advertisement there for custom modeling project. Thanks, Daniel.
Let me, just a second, Professor. I'm just going to show where to download these components. Just a second. I've added a, can you see my browser, Chrome?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, I've added yesterday a link on this sidebar for the Aqueous Electrolytes property package.
Yeah.
And there is also a link for the neural network unit operation, for another one for the pipe network. Okay. I've released an update yesterday, so it could work with the Aqueous Electrolytes property package and some bug fixes. You can already download it. It's v6.1 update 4. Okay. So to download this Aqueous, like I created a separate download because the Reaktoro environment is really big. It's a full Python environment, so it's 1.8 gigabytes, something like that. But I can't distribute it with the DWSIM because it would create a very large installer, and not everyone is interested in this kind of simulations. But you can find the link to download here. It will redirect you to Gumroad page. There is a small description. Put 0 here as the price, and you will be able to download 2 files. This one is the property package itself, this file, and this one is the Python environment containing Reaktoro. After you download these 2 packages, you need to unzip the 2 files, and you should put the files in the ppax folder inside the WSIM installation folder. Let me see if I can. So you will end up with this file structure here, the property package DLL and the folder containing the Python environment. These files should be inside the ppax folder inside the WSIM installation folder, and when you start the WSIM, you should see this new property package on the list. It supports almost all components from the Electrolyte database. Because Reaktoro doesn't support all of them, so I had to do some kind of mapping between the components in the WSIM and in Reaktoro, but it supports most of the acids and the salts. So you should be able to play a little bit with it, okay? So if you have any questions and doubts and suggestions, please.
I have a
You
question.
can send me any. Sorry?
Daniel, I have a question. So you're saying that with this Reaktoro package, we can model things like a sulfuric acid plant, sulfuric acid production, because you said that you have been able to do this, because sulfuric acid was not available in DWSIM until
yes. I'm working on creating a sulfuric acid JSON file.
All right.
It is not in DWSIM, but I think I have it here. I'll put a link to downloading the website, but
okay,
I've already created it.
Good, so just a matter of a few days, yeah? Okay, good, thank you.
Yes, here it is. I have the file. And this property package already supports it, so.
Nice, thank you.
I was able to create a component. I was asking the creator of Reaktoro about the sulfuric acid, and it said that it supports sulfuric acid, so I just had to create the component in the WSIM. and I'll try to do some models with it. And if everything is okay, I will release the JSON file so you can use it in simulations, because the DWSIM already have the hydrogen ion and the sulfide. I think it's sulfide, the other ion. The DWSIM already had it. It was only missing the acid itself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
I want to share a small story that happened last year. I use DWSIM in our design project, and there was a thing. There are about 40 students in the class, 8 groups, and each one had to propose a plan to implement them. And one of the groups was given this topic of nitric acid. And we do have a nitric acid production plant not too far from where we live. And this team used DWSIM. And of course, they did a lot of work and made sure that their simulation matched the plant data. Plant data, of course, was not available, but they matched it with whatever is in the industry, whatever is in the literature. And the plant people thought it was okay. It was a very good simulation. In fact, they came first in the class because there were also other groups that were using Aspen Plus. So they clearly demonstrated that you don't have to use Aspen Plus to be #1 in the class. You can use DWSIM. So their work would have been easier had this been available at that time, because they had to do several fixes. Priyam, what do you think?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I agree with you that, one thing that when we started, I mean, just to add to your point, when we started with this design project and when we came up with DWSIM, there was hardly 1 or 2 students who used to work. And probably we have seen last year that half the class now works using DWSIM, given that they have a choice to use DWSIM and Aspen both. And seeing that students are actually getting good results in DWSIM and the results are also being acceptable, has given a great boost to that actually for the design course.
Yes, I'm seeing during this pandemic that many industrial users can't use Aspen or HiSys at home because of the licensing issues, that you must be on your company building to get the license. So they are switching to DWSIM at home because they can't use Aspen at home. So that's a great opportunity to us to DWSIM. And someone asked me, Funny Venkata is asking if DW is in DWSIM is my name. Yes, this is a very funny story. When I started to have the idea to create DWSIM, I created the project in Visual Studio and I had to put a name for it. So I was thinking about a name for my simulation, my simulator, and a friend of mine came behind me and I asked her, what name should I put in this my simulator? And then she said, you should put Daniel Wagner simulator, because it's your simulator. I answered to her, no, that's very, no, I don't like it. But I'll leave it DWSIM, and then later I'll change it to another better name. And I put DWSIM and it never changed the name. So that's how it became DWSIM. A friend of mine gave the suggestion to put DWSIM, and I put it and leave it there. I'm not really happy with this name, but it's there.
We are happy with it.
Yeah, it's funny, but that's the story. I should have called it another name, but it's not, Professor, it's not that I want to have my name on it. It was something that came up from nothing and it got stuck. So it's not that, please, I don't want to it's not, I'm not that kind of person that wants to have his name on his part, and has nothing to do with that. It was just something that a friend of mine suggested, and I thought it was really weird at the beginning, but then I didn't have to change the name later, so it stayed there, and here we go. Here we have DWSIM after 10 years.
Change it now. It's
15 years already. 15 years. That's a lot of time.
So all the participants, we have Daniel Wagner in front of us. If you have any questions, this is an opportunity to interact with him, ask questions, suggestions, feedback, whatever you have in mind.
Yes, I already had my breakfast, so you have all the time in the world to ask.
I have a question. Like heat exchanger network in DWSIM. Actually, I can explain because in my actually in my college final project we all use a DWSIM, but when there is no optimization problem, we have to do energy integration, and at that time we require a heat exchanger network development. Like we do the pinch point calculation whole and developing heat exchanger network from the old material stream. At that time we have to use the S-pen or we have to do the manual calculation. So if it is an S-pen plus, it is very good for us to calculate how much energy we can save due to combining all material stream and developing on heat exchanger network. Like in S-pen plus, like that.
Yeah, somebody mentioned pinch also, pinch, heat integration, things like that. That's something that if there is a good solver, then it, maybe it can be considered.
Yes, the heat exchanger already has a calculation model named pinch point. Yes,
Pinch analysis.
it was a suggestion from a user a few years ago, and I was able to implement it in DWSIM. But yes, it is possible to do it.
So you're saying it's already possible to do pinch analysis for a design, yeah? Okay.
Yes, but it's not. I think that you need to add some scripts. I never did it.
Okay,
fact,
fine.
But,
maybe this could be a suggestion for Professor.
Yes. Maybe we can work on it together, Professor Cannon, to do something like that. I know it's important, and it's always something that comes from time to time, and I end up forgetting about it. But it is something that we should do.
Daniel, I have one question, if I can. Just wanted to ask, is there any plan at some stage that DWSIM can not just be a design level tool, but more than that, let's say interact actually with process data and try to do something like this? Because we have a very good flow sheeting tool, which is, I think there is no competitor for that in open source domain. But I just wanted to ask if the backend of the solver could be modified in a way that can also handle real-time data. And I don't know, something of this sort, if you have any plans, or if you have already implemented for one of your customers, proprietary way.
I've already did some in this sense, but it was proprietary of my company, Petrobras. I've created a plugin to communicate the DWSIM with the plant data, which uses the PI component. I don't know if you know it, the plant information from OSIsoft. It is a historian component that gets the data from the plant in real time. And I created a plugin to get this data from the plant and write it to the model in the DWSIM and then simulate the process. It is very, very, very possible, but we end up not able to release this component because they have a clause in their license.
Okay, fine.
Forbidding you to distribute the component because the other side has a closed license, something like that. I cannot distribute this plugin. You see?
All right. Okay, fine. I understand.
But it's possible. It's very possible. We will need to create something using that open
OPC.
Open. Anyone know the name of that standard? for communicating with controllers.
Open platform communications.
Yes, this one. I think that we could do something using that standard, those standards.
That could open out a lot of avenues for implementations. It's now seeing a lot of applications if there is a data stream and it has OPC connections. But it will also sort of make this mammoth or sort of a juggernaut that's been very heavy. Maybe I think it's worth finding out if it's actually easy to keep these two things separate and have different people concentrate on it. Just to make it easy to manage. From a startup point of view, we have been finding it really, really difficult to connect to many of these data sources. And it takes a lot of time in just making sure that the data pipeline is really strong and really robust. The technical side of things, the simulations, the process side, that's an area where there is a lot of exposure, and people are generally able to find their way out. There is a good community to help and support on the tech, on the simulation side. The data side is where I think it's still very closeted, and that's an area where flaws or flaws can bring out another change, another big change. It's as relevant as the last project that we did, where we had to face trouble connecting to data rather than the technical side. So it is as much as relevant in that side. It's right. And you have validation. You have Petrobras coming back to you for data connection. So I think it's really important.
Yes, we have another one on the list of to do, Professor Cannon. So
Yes.
there's a lot of things to do. People are already hungry. They are already leaving the meeting.
Yes. So, any other inputs want to talk about? How was the workshop? Does anybody want to say anything about the workshop? Did you find it useful, interesting?
Well, I can start, maybe break the ice there. I think I was really hoping to learn it through the beginners workshop, and I'm glad that I could also get into the advanced workshop. I think many of the topics that were discussed today, I think it's really difficult to learn on one's own. And there is the technical, the process side of things, as well as the use of software. And I think both have been covered quite, at least at an introductory level, quite comprehensively. At least I was able to understand what each of the features do and how to go about, say, for example, how to handle the petroleum stream and distillation, how to go about creating one's own compounds, and very recently the electrolytes and dynamics and the open modelica. I think it just it's more of opening one's eyes. It's a very good exploratory workshop here. I think the intent was to sort of give the audience a peek into what all is available, and then let the participants explore on their own later. So I think the workshop has given me a lot of work to do in exploring it even better. So I'm happy that there is content that's refreshing and that's making one curious. So I'm happy about that. It's just not another monologue that's been spewed out to the participants. So I'm happy about that.
Thank you, Arjun. Does anybody want to comment on the method that we followed, namely to give an assignment, asking you to solve a problem, and to select only people who perform to invite to the advanced workshop? Otherwise, at the beginner level workshop, there will be people who will be saying what button to press and things like that. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it was actually a very nice and well organized workshop. So hands-on with spoken tutorial is really helpful. And another thing, as Sir mentioned, Kanan Sir mentioned that we were assigned with some flow set and a session with discussion with the participants was really helpful. That what were the experience and difficulties we faced during solving those assignments. So the session which include that one, so it gives an opportunity to the participants to share their experience after solving that assignments, what are the difficulties, and then discuss. So that is where that is where the workshop is. The utility of this workshop is very well. So that is from my side. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I am very helpful. You give me that assignment because I was very new to the simulation, and when you gave me that assignment, I explored the DWSIM and watching the Daniel's YouTube videos and your spoken tutorials, I was able to complete that task. So, sir, very thankful you organized in this way. I can explore new things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, good evening. I'd like to add the point this method really working good because it invites me to give a commitment first and to also to develop a hobby, and actually by developing a commitment or giving a commitment, definitely I can able to spend some time to simulate, and that makes me to participate in this particular workshop. And after listening to Mr. Daniel's speech, I really got inspired. This DWSIM is also from one of his hobbies, so I also thank to him, and that's how it's the people learn and contributing many aspects in science and engineering. I'm very thankful to the organizers of this program. So thanks a lot. And thanks a lot, Daniel.
Thank you.
And maybe I think there is something to be said about the pricing of the workshop. So I think that was also very sweetly priced. It was a sweet spot, and I think I know it's really good that quality content like this can be managed with such a very nominal pricing. So kudos to the team for that.
Thank you. Can we,
I'm
yeah, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to add one thing. It just striked me right now. In the FOSSI website, I could see there are multiple flow sheets, and for beginners to learn, there are multiple examples that are given as individual programs. It will be very much easy to understand for anyone and to learn simulation. I completely agree with that. But then I think if something like some directions are added for beginners, so like if someone can guide some beginners, if there are some guidelines like to start with, if you can do this or something like that, maybe level 1, level 2, level 3, if there are some guidelines mentioned like that, that would be helpful for beginners, I believe. Just my thought.
Good point. We have made a note of it. We'll see how to do that.
Just classifying the tutorials into levels. I think this is a very simple thing. And if I can just also add here, I think generally if the documentation part, if you have a bit more text available for the tutorials and also for generally for the DWSIM, I think this would help maybe adoption in the industry as well. If I think this is what we are dependent very much on such events like now, where we could be introduced to such advanced topics. So if this documentation is a bit more available, I'm not sure how FOSSI team would have learned these things. We at Gandeta
Daniel already has quite a bit of documentation.
Yeah.
DWSIM comes with lots. What we need to do is to popularize them a little more.
Yes, many people don't know about the user guide, so I have a lot of information.
Yeah, I think people.
Yeah, the point is well taken. We will look into that, how to popularize the documentation.
Yeah. And maybe the onus is also on the users to popularize it. Some of us will have to play the role of an evangelist or popularize. I mean, it's quite unfair to load everything on the developer. So I think
yeah, it is
I think that's
what we can consider. We are not developers, but we can promote the documentation. We'll have to figure out how to do that. It has to be done in such a way that people do it automatically. So
it's really boring to write documentation. I prefer to do the coding part. I know it needs documentation, but it's really boring to write it.
we need people who will help.
I think you should outsource it.
Yes, I was thinking about it.
We could do it for you.
Oh my God, it's really boring.
So can we
I
all
prefer
put
to write information for a neural network.
Yeah. Before we go, we should take a group photograph. Everybody should come on the video, and we can. Kasim, are you there?
I have the sunlight to illuminate.
Yes, it's bright and sunny. Bright and sunny there in Brazil.
Yes, yeah. Hot day too. Can you see my window?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful morning.
So very good. So I hope people have taken pictures. So really delighted to have you, Daniel.